thank you all for joining us this afternoon for this fireside chat. It feels a bit like kids sort of marking his own homework. I get to interview one of the favourite project partners in the ACE partnership. But before getting started, I'd like to acknowledge that we're on the lands of the Gadigal people and to pay my respects to their elders past, present and emerging, and to welcome any other Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders who are with us this afternoon. As was mentioned in the introduction, my name is Rob Grant. I'm the Managing Director and Head of Projects at Pollination. We're a climate change investment and advisory business. And as an impact investor, we have heavy focus on trying to change the way that the decarbonisation of the Australian economy will be done. And we hope that this afternoon's discussion will shed a fair bit of light on, how we're doing that at the moment with the ACE partnership. So, look, without further ado, we are here to talk about how we've developed this project on Mirrawong Gadgerong country in the East Kimberley. And perhaps for the first question, Lawford, tell us a bit about the Aboriginal Clean Energy Partnership.
Thanks, Rob. And I too also want to acknowledge the traditional owners of this country and those that are in the room, and all you others as well. Thank you. It consists of Mirrawong Gadgerong Corporation, Balangara traditional owners, that's 100 k's away from Kununurra, Wyndham, so the TO's on that area. And we also have the Kimberley Land Council, who has more or less a footprint all around the Kimberley area, and Pollination, who is our engineering technical advisor. So that's the team that makes up the ACE. Rob?
And look, we are going to show a video shortly just to give you a good sense of who those other partners are. But before we do that, maybe just tell us a bit about yourself and MG Corporation more generally.
Look, everybody know the acronym PBCs, what they stand for? Audience? Prescribed Body Corp anyway, and they look after all our native title business in our areas. And the corporation is charged to do all the business, commercial deals, social, and also at the same time maintaining and sustaining cultural significant sites. We're a corporation that's governed by ACNC, ASIC and ORIC. So that's the three acts that governs us and do what we need to be doing and making sure legal, lawful, compliant. And I add that extra C, the cultural side of things. And it's how we really proud ourselves is that we're just not your typical Aboriginal corporation in Kununurra in Western Australia. We're about development in our country, and we want to be part of development in our country for the future of our country, and where we need to apply those development skills or allowing productive stuff to happen within our community. It's been a long, good journey for us. We've been fortunate to be in the agricultural space, the pastoral space, building and maintenance company, and now this road here, learning about renewable energy.
You are very humble. He's got an amazing backstory, and the leadership that he's played in bringing MG to that aspiration of how they are going to play a leadership and a shareholder role in the clean energy transition and opportunities for projects on country is why we as Pollination is very pleased and honoured to be part of it. The history of that part of the East Kimberley, I have my own personal professional relationship with. I was involved in the development of the Ord Hydro up on Lake Argyle back in the mid-90s, and at a time where the project was being developed in a post-Mabo decision period, but pre-native title determination. So MG Corporation didn't exist as the rights and the royalties associated with the physical infrastructure that was built on Lake Argyle and the transmission system to connect to Argyle Diamond Mine were being put in place. And it's been great to now come back to the project to transition that asset or repurpose that asset, the Ord Hydro, now that ADM has closed, and to be doing it in a way where we have not just either missed out or included the traditional owners as stakeholders, but they are leading this as the developers and shareholders in a completely new venture. Maybe, Lawford, the bit of the backstory from your point of view and MG's point of view about how that infrastructure has affected you and country since the 1970s when the dam was first built.
So how far do you want me to go back in the dream time? No, I'm kidding. Look, the construction of the Ord River, which is known to us locally as the Lake Argyle scheme, river scheme in Kununurra, as Rob alluded to, we didn't have native title then. None of my people were consulted or even in a kind of play for that construction and development of the Lake Argyle Dam. Prior to that, there was, if you're familiar with Kununurra and its pioneering stories, my people were working very closely with the Jurek family when the Jurek family came across 100 odd years ago to Australia and then came through to Kununurra where they did. My great-great-grandmother played a very pivotal role within the Jurek family when they first came across to the Kimberley, especially in Kununurra, worked with them, supported them. So under the Lake Argyle, there was life underneath that. My mother was born in Lake Argyle, which the water is now today where it is. And like I said, and non-Aboriginal people we've lost too. So we've lost a lot of family and non-Aboriginal people that are buried there under the water. And like I said, it's significant to us because, again, it's been a playground for my mum and her sisters and her brothers and some of the Mirong families. We had neighbouring tribes from the Ngurrindman side of things, the Northern Territory, and the Gidja to a point in Jaru, maybe Gidja, but Mirong especially. And the infrastructure then from there, the Ord irrigated scheme, the hydro then itself and the way it was, we weren't, like I said, part of that conversation. We look at it now is that rather than we jumping up and down and screaming and pulling our hair, what do we need to do now going forward, and how do we make this now fit for purpose, taking us where we need to go? And if you look at the climate of development, it's there, and it's just getting the right people, having the right people from a TO's perspective, from an industry perspective, and government, as you all know, we need them, whether we like them or not, we need them, and we need to be making sure that we all work together in a way that's peace and harmony for all, and everybody gets that equity returns. So, Rob, although my people may not have been involved with the early infrastructure, but it is what it is. We got it there now. How do we now maximise and capitalise on where do we need to go with any kind of projects that we're going to do in our region?
Thanks, Lawford. Look, we might give you a rest from the two of us chatting up here and put the video on. It does explain in far more interesting and visual terms, about the country and the project. But just precursor that by saying that, if you look at something like the Net Zero 2050 report released last year by Melbourne Uni and Queensland Uni and Stanford, 43% of the land on which they predict the most economic projects for Australia's decarbonisation need to occur is on some form of native endowment and title. We are not going to get to our 2050 targets, our Paris commitment targets, and help our neighbours meet their energy and decarbonisation targets if we do things the old way in terms of traditional owner partnership and engagement, and hence the genesis of this project. So maybe with that we can put the video on.
If we can get this right, this could be a model that could be replicated throughout Australia or probably even the world, working with Aboriginal people. If we can get this right, this could be a model that could be replicated throughout Australia or probably even the world, working with Aboriginal people.
The way this project's being done and the equitable approach and the ethics involved are very important to me and very important to Pollination.
For the first time, traditional owners are co-developers and co-owners of clean energy development on their country. We're confident that this will deliver improved outcomes for traditional owners and also allow for lower risk and faster project delivery compared to other projects of this kind. Together, we're developing a solar farm larger than any that currently exists in Australia, co-located with a hydrogen production facility on MG country near Kununurra. The resulting solar energy, along with available power from an existing Ord hydro plant, will be combined with fresh water to produce green hydrogen gas. That green hydrogen gas will then be transported by pipeline to Balangara country around Wyndham and converted to ammonia, which has several important applications, including as a fertiliser for agriculture. The ammonia will be used locally and exported overseas through the Wyndham port.
Partnerships are very valuable, and it is about working together and looking at what works for us and to be able to bring those value partnerships to be able to support our vision.
The Aboriginal Clean Energy Partnership is completely transformational. It's going to place the traditional owners in the role of shareholder, not just stakeholder.
We're changing the way the relationship happens with corporate Australia.
We are capable of doing this type of development on our country. We're not always opposed to development, it's just the right type of project.
We want to create an autonomy. It's part of our trading history with our law and culture.
We're determining where and how our product is being showcased and have conversation about our country. And to me, that's power within itself.
This is our choice. For once, this is our choice.
We've seen the impacts of what the dirty energy revolution has done, not only to our own country, but more broadly to the world. The clean energy movement is aligned to traditional owners' values and core responsibility to looking after country.
We use ammonia for fertilisers, and so when we think about decarbonising the food chain, decarbonising ammonia is a very important part of that.
It's going to be kind to the country that made us much more comfortable in going forward with this project.
It is definitely clean energy and it's green energy. This is how we want to do business.
Clean energy gives us more jobs, hopefully provide houses, gives us a long-term aspiration.
So I'd like to see this type of project for my community. It will be great. It will change Wyndham, to be honest, giving them a future, changing their life.
As an Aboriginal person, as a First Nations person, I want investments to go back into the people on the ground.
Development in our area, always an opportunity to advance our economy and also opportunity for employment for our mob.
It would be a good thing for the community. It would be a big project for the community. It's better than fossil fuels. There's minimal damage to the environment.
It's a community investment, within our tribal group. We can bring better resources in the health sector, housing and job opportunities as well.
We're hoping to start construction in 25-26 and then have first product as early as 27-28, which will be one of the earliest projects of this kind in the world.
We're feeling empowered. If we're leaving a footprint, this is the project we want to do it with.
The opportunity for us to try and create a best practice model in our own backyard is too good an opportunity to miss.
If you look at all our natural resources we have, it's a beautiful country. And that's the most important thing, the planet. How do we celebrate this without hurting it and have something here for our kids we can't see today?
So you can see it as a beautiful part of the world. It's an amazing place for both a competitive and a comparative advantage point of view for the production of low-cost renewable energy and green hydrogen, green ammonia. That video was made about 18 months ago. The partnership's been going for 2 years, and we've been very successful so far in helping the partnership raise the capital needed to conduct the feasibility study. Lawford, from your point of view, what's coming next for the project? And perhaps think about closing out by talking about how this has impacted you and your people and how you feel about the partnership to date.
We're definitely going to make sure that we are really consulting with all our communities and surrounds, and this is mean everybody that plays in our backyard. Because if you get a community together, it brings joy to all of us. So everybody that lives and invests in Kununurra and in Wyndham, how do we get everybody seeing that this project is not only going to just benefit us as the shareholders in this party, but the township of Kununurra and Wyndham, and what it could do for us in the whole East Kimberley. So to me, looking blue sky stuff for us, and is how, again, even to get the non-followers, how do they get to see that this thing is going to make sense for us? And if it isn't, how do we get their involvement in this project? So it's like anything, we've got a long road to go, Rob, and we're going to make sure that we're bringing everybody alongside our journey. And I believe, like I said, if we get it right for Kununurra and Wyndham, it will really honestly turn me coming from WA and into Kimberley's. I reckon we'll give Broome and the West Kimberley a really good run for its money on where we and how we position ourselves in the East Kimberley for the Kimberley region.
Yeah, and at a project level, you know, we've been spending the last 12 months or so, you know, utilising the generous funding from ARENA to sort of run a co-development and co-design process where we're integrating all the heritage and native title and physical layout of the project decisions alongside engineering and environment. And we're now moving into the final stages of that feasibility work and looking to be able to produce a story about the project that will be interesting to large-scale industrial investors and off-takers for the project. And we probably will be a little bit behind where was discussed in the video there in terms of timing, but we're looking for you know, FID late 26, early 27, and really that's in order to be supplying cargoes probably most likely into North Asia. Obviously, exporting from the existing port at Wyndham gives us close geographic access, but exporting into that North Asian market, into Korea, into Japan, you know, by late 2029 and 2030, which is when it looks like most of that demand, particularly from Japan, will start to ramp up. So maybe in closing out, Lawford, any closing points and reflections from your point of view on the project, the partnership and progress?
Look, it's like anything, Rob, and I think we said it yesterday in our presentation yesterday, you know, you got relationship versus partnership. And it's how we foster these two and what does it really mean to us as traditional owners, industry partners, and the wider community and government. And even with our little partnership, Rob, you know, I've always said there's times where we're going to be having hard conversations where you may not like where we might go or vice versa. How do we come into the middle that makes sense to all of us as a group? Because like I said, we're all not going to agree on everything, but how do we think about it and stay focused on the end goal? So it's important for all of us, Rob, as I've said time and time again, we're all going to lift each other up where we need to and really lend a helping hand where we have to. And I believe, look, by using that four-letter word, help, really gets you to places bigger than you can imagine. And I think we as a society get frightened to say, I want help, I need help, give me guidance, show me something, you know what I mean? So I would hope that what we all learn from here, that we can either draw it or put a timeline video so then it's a learning process, procedure, our journey today to then hopefully can influence kids of today can see that how do you go about making these agreements, what does it take? Passion, commitment, drive. You know, you got to really, do you get up every day and say, yes, I'm going to just do it because of the sake of doing it. So it's really, you got to dig deep, and I believe everything, the outcome you decide is only the hard work you produce at the start. So that's my probably final words.
Well, thank you. I think you mentioned yesterday we're not in a marriage just yet, but I love the fact
Definitely not.
I love the fact that we're in a close relationship. Thanks, Lawford.
Thank you, mate.